AITA for threatening my father to kick him out with his family. New updates. I am not the OOP. OOP is Utah month 9107. AITA for threatening my father to kick him out with his family. Originally posted to r/am I the asshole. Bo are you one, posted by you/kitten dealin' mama. Original post https://www. Reddit, com/r/am I the asshole /s/4jg5 and 9 zbmh, Sep 23, 2022. I'm 25M, not from the US, not looking to get into legalities, I know where I stand on that. Some context. My father married his now wife when I was 15. She was really pushy with me because the relationship with her own daughter was almost non-existent. My father did nothing, and I ended up moving with my grandpa, father's father, a few months later. Grandpa passed away suddenly when I was 17, and I inherited all his properties. Instead of moving back with them, they moved with me to grandpa's house. I left when I was 18 to go to college, and I go back home a few times a year. I let them stay there rent-free, as long as they don't touch my room and grandpa's office. The house has 4 rooms. Now, I got a call from him telling me that I need clean my room because they plan to turn it into a nursery room. Apparently, my father's wife got in touch with his daughter because she is pregnant and doesn't have a place to stay. I denied his request and reminded him from who is the house they are staying and better not touch the rooms unless they want me to kick them out. I told them there is an empty room, she can stay there, but he claims it's too small for both of them. I said that if they have a problem, they can go back to his own place. There she can take my room, I don't know if he still has the house. I think I've been more than reasonable, but my uncle father's brother, who doesn't have the best relationship with my father, called me to say to think about it and not kick them out. So I wonder, AITA. Verdict, not the asshole asterisk. Update https://www. Reddit. com/u/tallmonth 9107/s/b ils 0xyzdq. Sep 26, 2022, 3 days later. The day I wrote the original post, I called Mrs. Lawyer to accompany me to the house to deal with this in a civil manner. Well, Saturday we went early in the morning with the paperwork. Once we arrived and I tried to open the door, I got the pleasant surprise that my father had changed the locks. Big mistake. We talked through the door and he told me that until I changed my mind, he wasn't going to let me in. I told him that I wasn't planning to kick them out and I was there to solve this the right way, but if he wasn't going to let me in, I was going to do it my way. He didn't let me in. On my way to the police station, my uncle called me and said that my father called him in order to make me change my mind, but he wasn't going to do it and will support whatever I decided. In the police station, Mrs. Lawyer explained the situation to them and they came with us so I could evict them without issues. Once there, the police spoke to them and told them they had to let me in and get their things out as soon as possible. I hired a moving truck for them. My father tried to fight, saying that he sold his house and doesn't have a place to go, and he also claimed that he was the rightful owner, but the dimwit doesn't have any paperwork to prove it. In a last attempt, he brought up the fact that my stepsister is pregnant, but unfortunately for them, she is in the early stages and doesn't matter either way. After their circus was over, the removal of their things was quick. Most of the things in the house are mine, except for the things they have in their room and my stepsister stuff. I'm currently in the house and plan to stay here the next few days. I have changed the locks, and I'm installing security cameras. I talked to my GF about moving here and she's more than happy to do so. I'm going to talk to my boss about the possibility to work from home, but it's not a real problem if I can't. Without having to worry about the house, figuring out the rest is easy. That's pretty much it. I think I covered everything. Thank you for taking your time with this mess I used to call family. Asterisk new updates. My father and his newfound entitlement. https://www. Reddit. com/r/entitled parents/s/xvp jxt02, nov 6, 2022, 6 weeks after last post. My GF found this space and asked me to share our last encounters with my father, so here it goes. Editor's note, edited out a rehash of the prior posts. We hadn't heard from him until a few days ago when he showed up at the house. I wasn't there, but girlfriend was. My GF told me that my father was there to tell us that since we are now living in the house, we have to host them for the Christmas holidays. Not only that, he gave her a list of the food they wanted and the gifts they expected to receive. My GF told him to go away before she called the police. I again thought it was over, but I was wrong again. Yesterday we received another visit from him. Apparently, he called my mother to invite her to spend the holidays with us. She blew him off and told him she will take us, GF and I, to Europe for New Year's Eve. He had the balls to demand she take them too. My mother just hung up. Mind you, this was the first time they had spoken after divorcing 16 years ago. He came to the house to demand I convince my mother to take them too, or that we pay for them to go with us. At this point, his attitude stopped being disappointing and turned comical. My GF and I just laughed at him. We laughed so hard that we didn't notice when he left. I can say that we didn't have the best relationship, but he wasn't entitled. I mean, it was already clear why my grandfather, his father, was completely disappointed in him, but it seems that he wants to take it to another new level. I don't know if he will stop, but I hope he does for the rest of the year. Edit. I have a security system, there are cameras everywhere. I know if he is there. I have other properties, my tenants and people close to GF and me, even my neighbors know what to do if my father approached them in my name. I doubt he will try to break in when we're not here. When I evicted them, my lawyer and the police were more than clear that he could face serious problems if he tries to enter the house or any other of my properties. Unfortunately, in my country, any kind of restraining order is pretty much useless. It is more helpful to call the police right then and there, and he knows I have no problem calling them. Relevant comments. When asked if his father is just broken, I agree that he is broken, but I can say that he is by his own hand and not by pressure of any kind. He knows what he is doing. I was basically raised by grandparents, his parents, and they didn't raise me any different than him or my uncle, who is another case. It baffles me that they turned this way. My grandparents raised us to be decent people. They decided not to be. It is so bad that my grandparents passed away without speaking to any of them. I grew up watching him make one mistake after another, no ownership or attempt to be better. My grandparents tried to help him, but he refused, and said that he was living his life the way he wanted. How can you help someone when he thinks he is right? My grandfather used to say that my father is weak, and I agree, because I have no argument to say otherwise. I never expected to get anything from my grandparents. I'm grateful for what they left me, and I still would be if they left me nothing, because they did more than what they should. I already knew that I will not get anything from my father, financially or emotionally. The same with my mother, our relationships is superficial, it has been like this since I was a kid. But I won't worry if she ever stops and leaves me nothing, it is her right, the same with my father. In the end, I take what I'm given and I can agree with you that I'm also entitled. A little family mess and my father strikes again, but now he got more than he asked for. Jan 24, 2023, 2.5 months after last post. Some have messaged me for an update, so this post can be considered one. Original post. After the last incident with my father, everything was quiet and my GF, and I left to Europe. Christmas passed, and there was no sight of my father. My friends that were taking care of the house reported no incidents. Everything was going well until I received a call from my uncle father's brother on December 28th. My uncle called me to tell me that he's leaving the state and is selling his house. He asked me if I was interested in the house because he was pretty desperate to leave. He didn't tell me the reason why he was leaving, and I didn't care. What matters to me is that he was desperate, and this was the opportunity to fulfill my grandpa's wish. Before I continue, I have to give you some context. My uncle's house was my grandfather's childhood home. My grandpa gave it to him but later regretted it. He left me the task of recovering it, and if I succeeded, to give it to my cousin, Marie, my uncle's daughter from his first marriage. He never recognized her, and that is one of the reasons of my grandpa's regret. My uncle doesn't know that I have contact with his daughter, or that I know everything that happened in the past. If he did, he wouldn't sell me the house. Yes, he is that petty. Now, I decided to use the family card and my uncle's desperation to get the house cheap. I know more or less the value of the house, so I made him an offer, way below the real value, but that I was going to pay him in 3 installments. My uncle declined because it was too low and because he is not coming back. What he really meant is that he is not going to contact me again. I told him that if he could wait until my return January 3rd, I could pay him the same amount in one go, but I would also take care of the legal fees and his moving expenses. Meanwhile, he just needed to pack his things, have his paperwork ready, and everything would be done that day. Surprisingly, he immediately agreed. We returned, and I could buy the house without problems, and my uncle left the same day. The next day, I called my cousin to tell her to come as soon as she can to my country, she lives in Europe, because there is one more thing that my grandparents left to her. She came a few days ago and I gave her the house and the rest of the money. She had to stay a few days to deal with paperwork, and in those days, who decided to appear once again? Yes, my father. Unbeknownst to me, my uncle had another buyer, and that person was my father. My father asked my uncle to wait a few days so he could gather more money. When he got it, he called my uncle, but he already sold me the house. My uncle, in order to avoid dealing with my father, told him that I bought the house. My father, knowing that he can no longer approach my house, he decided to go to my new one, but he was going to receive a surprise. He knocked and demanded that I give it to him, but no one is in there for the moment, so he decided to break in. Yes, he did. We saw everything through the doorbell camera. My cousin doesn't speak our language, so I was the one who called the police in her name. Thanks to the area where the house is, and the fact that my cousin is a foreigner, the police took action faster than the previous times. It is a pity that I don't have a photo of my father's face when he discovered that the house wasn't mine. It was glorious. My cousin, with my lawyer's help, and mine, pressed charges, and combined with my father's previous actions, he will spend a few months in jail. Thanks to a few people, I was able to find out why my uncle was desperate to leave. He pissed off his wife's family, like really bad. I sent him a text telling him that if he likes to ratting me out to my father, I can do the same with his wife's family, so he better no come back unless he wants to play stupid games. He blocked me after that, lol. He already told me he wasn't coming back, but I better make sure he doesn't. In the end, if my cousin decides to keep the house, this will benefit her since she doesn't want to cross paths with my uncle. So yeah, the year started off with a bang. I pretty much got rid of my so-called family for what I think is forever, and can finally start building one with my GF without the worry of unwanted people showing up. Relevant comments. Accomplished key 739. What did the uncle do to upset the wife's family? OOP. He got drunk on Christmas and ended up fighting with his brother-in-law and his nephew, BIL's son, and if that wasn't enough, he also punched his stepdaughter who was trying to calm him down. All this in front of his wife's entire family. Accomplished key 739. Just curious, was he charged or arrested? OOP. None, which is why he was in a hurry to leave. This is a repost sub. I am not the OOP asterisk. Do not contact the OOPs or comment on linked posts. Remember Rule 7.